Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Chats and Chapters podcast / YouTube channel. I am Caitlin Howarth. Today, I want to talk about 3 questions that I ask every single author as I am going through their revisions. Doesn't matter what type I'm doing, whether I'm doing a developmental edit, whether I'm doing a line edit, whether I'm doing a copy edit. Well, I guess it kind of does matter. Not typically on proofreads unless the author hasn't done the other stages and I'm just doing a proofread. If I am seeing things that don't quite make sense, I will stop and ask these questions even through a proofread because obviously I want it to be the best that it can be. So yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter because even if I see it through a proofread, I'm going to ask these questions. So before we jump into it, I do want to let you know if you are watching or listening to this video / episode when it is live, it is the day before the revision roadmap program waitlist closes. You can still join the waitlist. You can still do that now and look at the information, see if it's something that you want to sign up for. But the waitlist will be closing tomorrow on Friday, the 20th, and then it will only be available for the $447 price. The waitlist gets $347, so they get $100 off. The waitlist closes tomorrow. So if you want to join the waitlist now, that way you can get that discount. The revision roadmap program, we kick everything off on March 30th. So I am so excited to bring this program to you. Like I said, this is the best thing since sliced bread. This is the best thing I've ever created. I'm so excited to give every writer and author that joins a little slice of joy from a book editor and how to bring that into your revision process, because I know it's not every writer and author's favorite part. You wanted to be a writer. However, it's so important. Okay, with that out of the way, 3 questions that I ask every single author. Question 1, how does this look? How does this look? I can't even begin to pretend to know how many times I've actually typed that question out. So I want you to think of the layout of a house. Maybe when you're thinking about this, a character walking in and setting groceries down. What does this look like? What is the layout? If they just walked in the door and they're setting groceries down, but they were just in the living room, is the kitchen on the other side of the living room? If it was never mentioned that if they walked in and it was never mentioned that they had groceries, but then they set them down after they were just talking to another character in the bathroom, did they carry the groceries the whole way through? How does this look? What is happening? What is the blocking? What are the characters doing? How does this look? I ask this to make sure that it's really clear, that the author understands how this looks, what they were going for, so that the readers can then understand what's happening and they're able to picture it. Because of course that's the whole goal. We want the readers to be able to picture what is going on in the story. I also ask this a lot with action scenes. You have action scenes and things are moving really fast and some of the sentences tend to be a little more choppy and he hit her and she dodged, but she struck him and this, that, and the other. And then what actually happened? How does this look? How did they get to this point? I'm confused. And it really is just to spark the author to reread that section and be like, oh yeah, okay. What I pictured in my brain maybe didn't make it on the page, and that is the opportunity to put what the author is picturing in their brain onto the page. That is the important thing behind everything with editing, to be honest, but this question specifically. The next question that I always ask is, who says this? You don't want he said, she said on every single line, obviously, that's not what we're going for. You can use action beats instead to show who was talking. If you have them on the page going back and forth, he crosses his arms after she says something, that indicates, obviously, if it's a conversation between 2 people, that indicates that he's the one that says that after he said whatever he said. So it's not a I thought you were cheating. She said, he said, no, I wasn't. She says, I thought you were. Why would you do that? He says, you're crazy. We don't want that. We just use other action beats, context clues, other forms of writing to, show who is talking and where the lines are back and forth, especially if you have, I was just editing a manuscript earlier this morning actually, and it was between two people, but there was a third that was just like standing there, and I think they interjected and said something, but it wasn't clear. So I highlighted it and said, who says this? Is it one of the main two? Because it didn't sound like them, but it also was just a random like line of dialogue. So it didn't sound like the third person either. So who says this is very important. We need to know who is saying what they're saying because it matters who says what. And then the third question is, does this get explained later? Does this get explained later? And this refers to anything I think readers will want more information on. Maybe it's not necessarily a plot hole. It could be, or it could just be like a small bit of information that the readers will want fully wrapped up to feel satisfied with the ending. If it was just like randomly thrown in there that we've never heard about this thing, or there's a surprise, or there's a gift that a character really wanted another character to get, but they never get, in that scene, they don't get that gift. Does this get explained later? Why was the character so keen on this? What was the surprise? Does that get explained? Because readers pick up on a lot of things. I am a reader. I am also an editor. We pick up on a lot of things. We want to know the subtle hints and how those play into it. So I ask this question all the time on anything that I think we will want more information on. And when I finish reading through the manuscript the first time, I always go back through my comments and just make sure that obviously they all make sense, they're useful. And so if I'm going through my comments once at the end and I see like I have this question, does this get explained later? And it actually was explained like 5 chapters later, I'm going to delete that. I'm not going to have the author go through that and be like, oh yeah, you dodo bird. I'm going to delete that, but it's a good reminder for me because I go back through my comments to double check to see if that was answered. And then if it wasn't explained, then I leave it for the author and see what they want to do. If they want to explain it, if it was something that like they obviously, meant to put in there, they were going to slide it into dialogue and like 6 chapters later, but it didn't happen. That gives them that opportunity. But if it was explained, then I definitely will delete it. So those are the 3 questions that I ask every single author when I work on their manuscript. How does this look? Really pay attention to what is in your head versus what is on the paper. It only matters what is on the page because that is the only thing that your readers have access to. They don't have access to your brain. Who says this? Make sure dialogue is clear, especially when they're going back and forth. And then does this get explained later? Is it a plot hole? Is this information? And even if like the author tells me, they email me back, because especially with developmental edits, we will go back and forth as they kind of brainstorm what is going on and how they like what direction they want to take it based on my feedback and based on what they wanted from their story. And even if they say like, yeah, it gets explained in book 2, I'm like, all right. So yeah, it's still like their story. They don't ever have to like do exactly what I say. I really don't say anything. I just ask a shit ton of questions, to be honest, because it gets their brain thinking. So yeah, how does this look? Who says this? And does this get explained later? Those are the 3 questions that I ask in every single manuscript, and for all different purposes and situations and action, dialogue, anything like that. Obviously, the who says this is only dialogue. But even if it's like internal dialogue and I'm a little unclear, it doesn't really sound like it, and like the paragraphs are kind of wonky, like I don't know what's happening. I'm not in the author's head any more than the readers are. Those are the 3 questions to think about as you're going through your revisions. If you are looking to streamline your revision process, if you are a first-time author and you've never done them before, the Revision Roadmap program is for you. If you are an author and you have done revisions before, but you weren't really keen on it and you can definitely improve your process, the Revision Roadmap program is for you. If you are an author and you are not planning on getting professional editing, the Revision Roadmap program is for you. The waitlist is still open for another 2 days. It will close, like I said, Friday the 20th at midnight. So 11:59, I guess, on the 20th. If you have any questions, please comment them below. Please send me an email, let me know, and I would love to help you figure out if this program is right for you or not.